December 10th, 2011. My buddy Jake went to work, had an ordinary day, came home, had dinner with his wife, his two small kids, and after supper that night, he decided to go to the gym to work out, like he did most every other night. About the same time that my buddy Jake was getting to the gym, another guy named Mike was getting to a bar about a mile away. An hour and a half later, Mike and Jake met in the middle of an intersection when Mike ran a red light, and both men died at that intersection that night. Almost over 10,000 people die every year in this country from automobile accidents related to impaired driving. The loss of my friend Jake truly opened my eyes to the real-world impact of drunk driving and what it can do to people. Consumption of alcohol affects us both physically and mentally in a number of different ways. According to Jessica Weaver and Mark Fillmore in their 2012 article, Acute Tolerance to Alcohol Impairment of Behavioral and Cognitive Mechanisms Related to Driving, drinking alcohol diminishes our ability to operate a motor vehicle in several ways. Drinking significantly delays our reaction time. Drinking alcohol significantly delays or inhibits our depth perception and our visual acuity and being able to see clearly. Drinking impairs our coordination and balance. And drinking diminishes our ability to think straight and to process information. And if you think of all the things around you while you're behind the wheel of a vehicle, it's an ever-changing environment, and there's hundreds of things that you have to adjust to. Other drivers, pedestrians, weather conditions, street conditions, stoplights. And drinking alcohol inhibits your ability to process that information quickly and to react to it. And that's why it's so deadly. Drinking impairs our judgment. It impairs our self-control. And drinking can give us a false sense of security and a false sense of, I'm okay to drive home. It'll be fine. When in fact, you're not okay. And it's not going to be fine. Millions of lives are touched by drunk driving every year in the United States. According to a 2010 article by the U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention titled Impaired Driving, Get the Facts, were 10,322 people killed in alcohol-related accidents in 2012. For perspective, many of you I'm sure have been to Pinnacle Bank Arena, to a men's basketball game. That arena, that many people are killed in this country alone from alcohol-related accidents every year. Roughly the enrollment for Southeast Community College, about 10,000 students, are killed every year in this country from drunk driving. Now, according to a 2009 article in the state legislature titled Last Call by Ann Teagan and Melissa Savage, fatalities have actually fallen substantially in the last 30 years. Around the mid-'80s, that number was closer to 25,000. But still, 10,322 people is 10,322 more than have to die from drunk driving. Statistically, about every 51 minutes, someone loses their life in this country to drunk driving. And about every 30 seconds, someone is injured in an accident from impaired driving. Of that 10,322 people in 2012 that were killed, 1,168 of those were children, 14 years and younger. Of that, 1,168 kids, 239 were in a vehicle being driven by someone who was driving impaired. 239. Imagine all the family and friends that are affected by that 10,322 deaths. Like my friend Jake's family, his parents, his brothers, his sisters, aunts, uncles, nieces, nephews, friends, cousins, co-workers. That's a lot of lives that are touched. At 1.4 million people, or in 2010, over 1.4 million arrests were made in the United States alone for driving under the influence of alcohol or drugs. Sadly, that 1.4 million is less than 1% of the self-reported instances of driving impaired in this country. That is a truly scary statistic, that more than 144 million times in this country, in that year alone, someone got behind the wheel and drove after drinking or using drugs. 144 million. Now you see how many people that this touches, and the importance of this, and the importance of this to all of us. And there are other consequences to driving impaired that I'd like to share with you. Drivers convicted of drunk driving can lose their license from anywhere from a few days to a few years to a lifetime ban if they're repeat offenders. Unfortunately, the legal deterrence for drunk driving is unfortunately not very strong. The tendency to, or the likelihood of a repeat offender to stop driving under the influence, according to a 2008 article by Anthony Bertelli and Lily Richard Jr., titled The Behavioral Impact of Drinking and Driving Laws. Legal deterrence tends to only work on those people that are least likely to commit the offense to begin with, not those that are more comfortable with it. Drivers can also be forced to use things like interlock vehicle systems. Interlock system is a mechanical device that's installed in the ignition system of a vehicle, where when the driver gets into the vehicle, they have to blow into an apparatus similar to a breathalyzer, and if you register over a certain amount, your vehicle simply won't start. You have to pay for that, to have that installed in your vehicle, and you have to pay for the monthly charge for it. A number of states use the interlock, including Nebraska. In a 2010 article, No Second Chances, Leandra's Law and Mandatory Alcohol Ignition Interlocks for First-Time Drunk Driving Offenders, by author Jason Moratoli, discusses New York's requirement of interlocks for first-time offenders. What I truly found interesting about this article was that New York named their law, Leandra's Law, after an 11-year-old that was killed on a New York highway by a drunk driver, senselessly. Drivers can face jail time being convicted of drunk driving, and this can be anywhere from a few days to up to lifetime if you're convicted of vehicular manslaughter and multiple counts. Those drivers that cause harm to others or cause death to others are also open up to civil litigation. They can be sued by whoever it was that they injured, or if they injured property or damaged property, or if they killed someone. They can be sued by the family of those that they killed. According to a 2013 article by Lauren Porter, Trying Something Old, The Impact of Shame Sanctioning on Drunk Driving and Alcohol-Related Traffic Safety, there's even renewed talk of shame punishment for drunk drivers. Essentially what it is they have to put special license plates on their vehicles as a deterrence that identify them as being convicted of driving under the influence. It hasn't happened yet. It actually hasn't happened in over 100 years, but there's been renewed interest in that because of the lack of effectiveness of legal deterrence. Probably the biggest price that you could pay is the guilt that you would carry with you if you seriously injured or killed someone while driving, or you could be killed yourself. There's plenty of instances out of those 10,322 deaths that were single vehicle accidents where someone hit a light pole or rolled their vehicle and died. Our family and friends are still going to be affected by that, even if it's a single vehicle accident and the only person involved is the driver or the offended. So I've established the penalties that you could face by not adhering to the law and not making good decisions. And really why this is so important to focus on this right now is that drinking and celebrating is obviously more common this time of year. The Christmas parties and family celebrations that we go to, in fact, as soon as we're done here tonight, I'm going to a Christmas party for my wife's company. But we can still make good decisions while they're there. This time of year, many people struggle with depression also. That's a big thing around the holidays. People that spend the holidays alone or maybe have lost somebody, that seems to be more prevalent around the holidays, that they sink into a little bit more depression, and sometimes they can fall back on alcohol as a crutch. Travel also increases around the holidays, which of course exposes us more to that 144 million instances of people driving impaired in this country. More windshield time is more exposure. Statistically, the most dangerous days of the year, throughout the year, 4 of those most dangerous days of the year fall between Thanksgiving and Super Bowl Sunday, including Thanksgiving, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, Super Bowl Sunday, 4 of the most deadly days of the year for impaired driving. And many of us have gone to parties, maybe a few of us have had too many drinks, and there are alternatives to making sure that you get home safe. At the start of the evening, we designate a driver. We're going to a party tonight with my wife. It's for her company. She's going to have a few glasses of wine, and I'm going to have a couple Diet Cokes, and at the end of the evening, we're going to get home safe because of that decision. You can also choose to call a cab at the end of the evening. There's no shame in that. Paying $50 for a cab ride is a heck of a lot less expensive than explaining, or less painful than explaining to somebody's family why you decided to get behind the wheel and drive drunk and hurt someone that they love. You choose to call a friend or family member. I don't have a single friend or a single family member that wouldn't jump at the chance to drag their butts out of bed at midnight to come make sure that I got home safe because I called them and said, I need your help. We all just have to have the moxie to say, I need help. Just as it is important for us to get home safe, it's also important for us to make sure that our friends and our family gets home safe. It's not just about us. We've all been to parties and saw somebody walk out the door with a set of keys that probably shouldn't have. And maybe they got home safe that night, but we didn't do anything to stop it. And therein lies one of the major problems, is us not stepping in. So you all understand now why this affects us and how it affects us, and what happens if we don't do anything about it. And it's something that we can absolutely prevent. It's time now that we each take this knowledge home, and to every party that we go to, every family gathering that we go to, and we do something about it. We can use this to keep ourselves and those around us safer. Alcohol-involved accidents are absolutely preventable if we each do our part. Even now, during the holidays, we have the ability to reduce that number of deaths and accidents if we're proactive and we make good decisions. There's no better time to implement that change than right when we walk out this door tonight. And pay special attention to that during this season. In the time that we've been here tonight, giving these speeches, statistically another person lost their life to impaired driving in this country, and 30 more people were hurt. Maybe that person that lost their life tonight was someone that you know. Maybe it's a family member. Maybe it's a cousin. Maybe it's a parent. Or maybe it's a friend, like my friend Jake that lost his life. Join me in making this holiday season and every day after that safer, not just for you, not just for your family, but for everyone.